A billionaire everyone feared dropped to his knee inside his own mansion. Not before a model, not before a socialite, but before the maid who used to scrub his floors in silence. When he asked her to marry him, the room froze, and the truth behind that moment shocked everyone who witnessed it. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These stories are carefully told, and your support helps them reach the people who need them. And as you watch, let us know where you're watching from by dropping your country's flag in the comments. Lena woke up before the sun because hunger doesn't let you sleep for long. The small room she shared with 2 other maids was cold and quiet, the kind of quiet that presses on your chest. She sat up slowly, rubbed her eyes, and checked the time on the cracked phone beside her mattress. 4:30. If she was late again, she knew what would happen. She washed her face with cold water, tied her hair back, and put on the same faded uniform she wore every day. It wasn't hers, but it was all she had. By the time the mansion began to wake, Lena was already cleaning, scrubbing floors, carrying laundry, polishing surfaces that would never belong to her. The house was huge, filled with glass, marble, and expensive silence. Lena moved through it like a shadow. The other maids avoided her, not because she was rude, but because being close to her brought trouble. She was the one always blamed, the one shouted at, the one corrected in front of everyone. If a glass broke, it was Lena. If food was late, it was Lena. If someone was in a bad mood, it was Lena. She learned quickly that silence was safer than defense. The head housekeeper watched her closely, eyes sharp, voice sharper. "You're slow," she said that morning. "Do you think this is a charity house?" Lena nodded and said nothing. Her stomach growled, but she kept wiping the floor. Upstairs, the owner of the mansion was getting ready for work. His name was Adrian Vale, billionaire, investor. A man whose name carried weight in rooms Lena would never enter. He didn't know her name. He barely noticed the staff. His days were numbers, meetings, power. Feelings were a luxury he didn't afford himself. He walked past Lena in the hallway without looking at her. She stepped aside quickly, lowering her head. That was the rule. Don't be seen. But that morning, something happened. As Lena bent to pick up a tray, she lost her balance. The tray slipped, a glass shattered. The sound echoed through the hall. The housekeeper rushed over immediately. "What is wrong with you?" she snapped. "Do you want to lose your job?" Lena dropped to her knees, picking up the glass with shaking hands. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'll clean it." "Sorry won't fix this," the woman said, gripping Lena's wrist tightly. Too tightly. Lena winced but didn't cry. She had learned that crying only made things worse. Adrian stopped walking. The sound wasn't loud, but it reached him. He turned slightly, just enough to see a girl on the floor, hands trembling, head bowed, being scolded like a child. Something about the scene bothered him, not because it was loud, because it was quiet. He continued walking, but the image stayed with him all day. In meetings, numbers blurred, faces spoke, but his mind returned to the girl on the marble floor. That evening, Lena cleaned the dining room long after everyone had eaten. Leftover food sat on plates she wasn't allowed to touch. Her feet ached. Her hands burned from detergent. When the lights dimmed, she slipped outside to the back steps and sat down for just a moment. From her pocket, she pulled out a small folded paper. It was a photo. Old, creased. Her mother smiled weakly in it, lying on a thin hospital bed. Lena pressed the photo to her chest. "Just a little longer," she whispered. "I'll make it." She didn't see Adrian standing behind her until he spoke. "You should be resting." She jumped to her feet, panicked. "I'm sorry, sir. I was just..." He raised his hand. "I'm not angry." She froze. No one ever said that to her. He looked at her properly for the first time. Really looked. She was thin, tired, too young to be carrying that kind of exhaustion. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lena," she said quietly. He nodded. "Go inside. It's cold." She hesitated, then obeyed. As she walked away, Adrian stayed where he was. The mansion behind him glowed with wealth. The steps she'd been sitting on were cold stone. For the first time in years, something inside him shifted. He didn't know why. He just knew one thing. The girl named Lena was not invisible anymore. The change did not happen loudly. It happened in ways that were easy to miss. But Lena felt it in her body before she understood it with her mind. The shouting stopped first. The sharp voice of the housekeeper no longer followed her from room to room. And when mistakes happened, someone else was blamed. Or sometimes no one was blamed at all. Lena still woke before dawn, still cleaned until her arms hurt. But fear was no longer sitting on her chest, every second. She noticed food began to appear on her plate. Real food, not scraps. And when she finished eating, no one rushed her away. She told herself it meant nothing, that things like this never lasted, because her whole life had taught her that kindness always came with an ending. Adrian watched her from a distance, not because he meant to, but because his eyes kept finding her. He saw the way she worked, even when no one was watching. How she apologized for breathing too loudly. How she stepped back to make space for people who never noticed her. He began asking quiet questions, checking schedules, reading reports, listening instead of speaking. And what he learned unsettled him. Lena worked longer hours than anyone else, earned less, and had been written up more times than all the other staff combined. Not for serious mistakes, but for small things like walking too slowly or resting too long. One evening, Adrian stayed late and reviewed camera footage, not out of suspicion, but out of discomfort, and what he saw made his jaw tighten. He saw Lena being corrected harshly while others were ignored, saw her flinch when voices rose, saw her nod and accept blame that did not belong to her. He did not sleep that night. The next morning, he called a staff meeting, something he rarely did, and Lena stood at the back, heart pounding, certain this was the end. When Adrian spoke, his voice was calm, but firm, and every word landed heavily in the room as he explained that there would be changes, that respect was no longer optional, that anyone who could not treat others with basic dignity would no longer work in his house. The housekeeper smiled tightly, agreed too quickly, and Lena felt something dangerous rise in her chest. Hope. After that day, the atmosphere shifted. Lena was moved to lighter duties. Her hours were reduced. Her pay was corrected without explanation. She tried to thank Adrian once, but the words tangled in her throat, and all she managed was a quiet nod. He nodded back, as if he understood everything she couldn't say. Time passed, and Lena began to change without realizing it. She slept deeper. Her laughter returned slowly, surprising her when it escaped her lips in the kitchen one afternoon. Adrian heard it as he walked by, and stopped without meaning to. Something warm stirring in a place he thought had gone cold long ago. The truth reached him by accident, on a night when he was reviewing documents, and a file appeared on his screen with Lena's name attached. It was not meant for him, but he opened it anyway, and what he read settled heavily in his chest. Lena had no safety net, no family support except a sick mother she sent money to every month, hospital bills she could barely manage, a life balanced on the thin line of employment. He leaned back in his chair and understood her silence, her fear, her strength. That evening, he found her outside in the garden after her shift had ended, watering plants she had no obligation to care for. And when he mentioned her mother, Lena went still, her eyes filling before she could stop them. He did not offer money right away. He did not speak like a savior. He simply listened as she spoke in broken sentences about responsibility, about surviving, about how leaving was never an option even when staying hurt. Adrian realized then that what he felt was not pity, it was respect, and respect was far more dangerous. From that night on, he found reasons to be near her, conversations that lasted a little longer, questions that went beyond work, moments of silence that felt heavy and honest. Lena noticed it too and fought it quietly, reminding herself that men like him did not fall in love with girls like her. that stories like that were not meant for people who scrubbed floors. But something was already changing between them, something neither of them could stop. And deep inside the mansion, beneath the wealth and the rules and the unspoken boundaries, a line had been crossed that could never be uncrossed. If this story stayed with you, please like the video and subscribe for more stories like this. And before you go, tell us where you're watching from by sharing your country's flag in the comment section below.